Hello everybody, Raven Knight here, and welcome to another episode of For Honor Executions Graded. This is the series where we take a look at every single one of the For Honor heroes, analyze all of their unique executions, and give them a grade for each execution, and then average them all up to get a final grade for their executions overall. We've come a long way with this series, guys. We've gone through the Vanguards, we've gone through the Assassins, and now we finished the Heavies. So it's finally time to start the hybrids, and by very, very popular request, we are beginning with the Lawbringer, one of my favorite heroes in the game. Now, before any of you are worried about bias here, let me be assured of you that I have checked with my brother and a few others before I finish these gradings. I've discussed them with them, and so I feel we've come to a very reasonable conclusion. But for those of you who are brand new to the series and have no idea what I'm talking about, let me fill you in. And also for those of you who, have seen this but already know, I'm just going to fill you in anyway. You know how this works. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to take a look at each unique execution. I'm going to be grading them in terms of 4 criteria. Lethality, how deadly is the execution? Realism, is this something that could actually happen in real life? Could this actually really be done? Efficiency, is it done well and quick enough and handled properly? And then cool factor, just how cool is it? How does it fit the character's personality? Is it good? So, with all that out of the way, let's not waste any more time and get right into the Lawbringer. First up is Stickum. Love it. Okay, so for Stickum, lethality 4 right off the bat. You're plunging the spike of the halberd straight through the throat and out through the back of the head. This is deadly, unquestionable. For realism, I give it a 4 as well. This could all happen. I think the only part that kind of made me question it was how deep would the hand go if they did punch directly into a blade. And maybe it might not have gone that deep, but you would have gotten a similar result. The hand would have been mutilated. In fact, it kind of hurts looking at that. So I don't think that's too much of an issue. And the spike going through the throat, not even a problem, especially when you have enough force applied, that'd be fine. For efficiency, though, I did give it a 3. And the only reason I gave it a 3 is because he does kind of look at him for a minute. He kind of pauses for just a second and look and say, did you really do this? Did you really think that was a good idea, champ? This is what you thought would be a good idea? You could have just finished him off. But for cool factor, definite 4. Love this execution. It is solid. It is awesome. I thought it was amazing. It's one of my favorites from Lawbringer, which gives this execution a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Starting off strong with the Law Daddy. I love this one. Next up is the Stomp. Oof. Oh, okay. Hold on, let me look at this from another perspective. Yeah, that's what I thought. He's plunging it into the posterior. He's putting it through the gluteus maximus, as it were. This will probably kill. You're definitely going to get bleed out. Probably infection, sepsis. But you might survive this. You might survive this. He needed to put that a little higher up on the body. He needed to put that through the back, through the chest. He needed to put that a little higher up, not through the butt. This is more of a humiliation kill. I'm going to give it a 3 for lethality. A 3 for lethality I think works. I think it will kill, but I can't be 100% sure. For realism, you could totally do this. Yeah, this is believable. In fact, I like the motion that he uses. I think I would have liked it more if he used both hands, but it's not a big deal. For efficiency, 4. He does this fast. This is very well done. Again, I feel like it would have been better if he went higher up on the body, which is why for cool factor, I give it a 3. Because I feel like if he'd done it a little higher up, this would be absolutely awesome. But because it's going through the butt, I'm kind of like, you could have done this a bit better. But then again, I mean, he is, again, going through the posterior region. And so that gives this one a 14 out of 16, which is an 88%. Next up is Tene Cursum. Alright, so for lethality here, it's a little funny. When you look at the way the axe goes in, it looks like it doesn't quite pierce the throat. Let me get another perspective on that. Let's see that again. It's the funniest thing. I feel like that should have gone clean through the neck. I actually feel like that should have gone clean through the neck. I don't think the fingers would have been able to stop it with that kind of momentum and force. This is one of the few moments where I'm kind of like, come on, did it really have to stop through the face? I think this could have decapitated. But even so, I'm going to give this a 4 for lethality, and I'll tell you why. Because the axe is burying itself partially through the face, through the head, and I'm pretty sure that would take out some of the brain tissue. So pretty sure that this would kill. I'm confident this would kill. I'm actually a little bit disappointed we didn't get a decapitation. Surprised to hear that from me, aren't you? It's like, wait, Raven's upset that we're not getting a decapitation? Yeah, I'm a little upset about that. For realism, this is a 4. This is a 4. Even though I think it should have decapitated, you know, I'm not going to say it's 100% impossible that the hands, if you use the hands and wrist bones, you might have been able to buffer it enough to stop it, but it wouldn't have prevented death. Efficiency 4, this was expertly done. What I love about this execution is the methodology. It's the methodology. It's the different striking. It's the circular motion, the spinning, and then the strike down. That's perfect. So that's a 4. For cool factor, 4. This has to be one of my favorite Lawbringer executions. He just puts his whole body into it, slams that sucker down. It's phenomenal. So that is, as you guessed, a 16 out of 16, a 100%. I love it. This one is phenomenal. Next up is Dura Lex Sed Lex. Dura Lex Sed Lex. I said that wrong. Okay, what he said there in Latin was the equivalent of "you defended yourself well." So basically, "Nupera defendisti." I'm sure I butchered that, but go with it. Okay, so then he brings the axe down with a decapitation. It took a while, but we finally got a decapitation from Law Daddy. I'm sure it won't be the last. So that is a definite 4 out of 4 for lethality because of the decapitation. For realism, 4. You know, the funny thing is about the halberd, the poleaxe here, those are meant to take off heads. Those are meant to take off limbs. So I have no problem with it doing that as long as it's set up well, and it was set up very well. So that's a 4 for realism. But for efficiency, that's a 1. He took his merry time doing this. And in that time that he took to walk over to Warden and sharpen his blade and wind up, in that time, all sorts of stuff on the battlefield could be happening. You've exposed yourself. You're not focused on what you need to do. I don't like that. So that's a 1 for efficiency. But for cool factor, 4. Awesome. This is a phenomenal execution. It feels so powerful. It feels so effective. I love this one to death. But because of the efficiency, I do have to knock it down a bit. So that gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. I wanted to give it an efficiency score of 2, but I was stopped. So don't blame me. Next is Cyclonic Justice. Okay, another decapitation. We're going to go that a 4 for lethality for the decapitation, but for realism, is it realistic? Yeah, I'd say it is. I'd say it's pretty realistic. The momentum of that axe, this is a heavy weapon. I own a pole axe, okay? Those are heavy weapons. And if you can get that momentum right, yeah, you could probably do this. Cuts right through the throat. I'm pretty sure that this would be able to do that. So that's a 4 for realism. For efficiency, 4. This was fast. This was well done. There was no hesitation. Strike to the knee, brings him down, hit up on the neck, and then slice. I loved it. For cool factor, 4 again. It's just, this was Tene Cursum before Tene Cursum, okay? This is such a solid move. I absolutely love it. It is so good. And yes, you guessed it, 16 out of 16, which is a 100% for Lawbringer. Ooh, I love to see it. I love to see it. Lawbringer's just racking him out right now. He's doing a great job. He's right up there with Hitsukiri. I love it. Next up is the Horserider. Oh, God. Oh, wow. Okay, well, we got a decapitation. That's a 4 for lethality because, I mean, you took off the head. But for realism, I'm going to give it a 2. All right. Now, why is it a 2? Because the decapitation. We have 2 problems with the decapitation. Number 1, it's an upward strike into the throat. Upward strikes will not help you in this case. Upward strikes will not help you. What usually helps with decapitation is momentum and gravity. By you swinging upward, you may have the momentum, you do not have the gravity. And you need to have a lot of momentum to make this work, and I just don't think there's enough momentum to make it work. But let's pretend, for the sake of argument, there was enough momentum. Let's pretend. Did you see the head pop off like a cork? Look at this. Pop. That won't happen. That do not happen. So that's a 2 for realism. And for efficiency, oh boy, I'm going to give it a 0 for efficiency. And let me explain why. This is a grade a 0 for efficiency. Now you might say, now hold on, Raven, didn't you only give Dura Lex Sed Lex a 1 for efficiency? Why does this get a 0? There are 2 reasons. Number 1, for Dura Lex Sed Lex, he knocked his opponent back so far he had to go to him to finish up the execution. There was a reason. Here, he has no reason to ride pony style around him other than to just be an idiot. And you know what? Like, you're an idiot. Okay, fine. You do something kind of stupid. The other reason is, again, if we're assuming this is in a battlefield, what you've done is you've basically run a full 360 around your opponent, exposing yourself to his allies. You're basically running around this guy, making a fool of yourself and letting everyone know, hey, look at me, I'm in need of getting hit. Plus, your weapon is between your legs. How are you going to defend yourself if someone tries to interrupt you? This is marvelously inefficient, and it makes no sense to do it. And for cool factor, fine, I'll give it a 3, because it is funny. This is a funny execution, and I agree with a lot of people who say, it's funny, it's the Lawbringer on the pony. I get it, it's funny. I laughed at it, but I don't think it's that good. I think it's overrated because of the silliness. So, no, sorry. That gives this one a 9 out of 16, which is a 56%. Well, Law Daddy, you had to have one. You had to have one bad one, and this was it. Okay, let's see if you can't make up for it. Next up is the final blow. It's the final blow. It doesn't work, does it? Oh. Okay, cool. All right, so, he inserted a bomb into his stomach. Yeah, that's a 4 for lethality. I mean, heck, you probably killed him with just the impalement to the gut there. That probably would have bled out real well. You might have gotten a 3 for lethality for that, but no, this is a 4. You shoved a bomb in there, pushed him back, and he blew up. So yeah, there you go. It reminds me a bit of that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, doesn't it? Not fair. Does anyone remember that scene? Let me know if you remember that. Hit me up in chatter in the comments. Tell me if you remember that scene. Anyway, so 4 for lethality. For realism, I'm gonna have to give it a 3. Okay, hear me out. I'm not saying this isn't possible. I'm saying, to quote Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, not probable. Okay, so you shoved the poker, the spear end, into the guy's stomach and ripped it out. You've made a marginal incision. You need a much larger cut open to put in a bomb like that. And then you also have to assume that he's not bleeding so much that he's not going to put out that fuse. That's another factor. And then finally, the other factor to keep in mind is you're standing pretty dang close to that explosion. You're going to get covered in blood and entrails and bone and muscle matter, and it's going to be really nasty. You're going to be covered in that, and I feel like the backlash alone would probably knock you off your butt, like knock you on your butt in any case. But you know what? It's comical, and he did shove it pretty deep in, and if you have a small enough explosive, I guess you could make that work. I still say it's hard to buy, but I'll give it a 3. After discussing it with Lark and one other fella of mine, we agreed it got a 3. So we gave it a 3 for that. For efficiency, I gave it a 3. It was unnecessary. The bomb part is funny. It's cool to see, but it was largely unnecessary. Like I said, the initial stab alone was lethal. Imagine for a moment if he'd just taken the halberd and stabbed him in the heart instead of the stomach. Like, imagine if he just stabbed him in the heart instead. That would have been instantly lethal. He'd be dead. He'd be on the ground. It'd be over. You didn't need the bomb. The bomb was entirely unnecessary. So I give that a 3 for efficiency. It's not necessarily bad, it's just not necessary. But for cool factor 4, you are blowing up a dude from the inside. I can't deny there's something very satisfying about that, especially when someone's been giving me a lot of trouble, a lot of problems during the match. I don't mind using this execution to kind of blow them to pieces. Like, oh man, I'm about to bust all the pieces. Boom! I can't deny there's something really good about that. So that is a 14 out of 16, which is an 88%. Next up is Sto Pro Veritate. All right, so for lethality, that's a definite lethal blow. He's kicked the opponent down, and then he brings it down very fast. Look at the speed of that swing down. Right into the center mass. He's cutting into the intestines, the heart. This person is dead. For realism, could you do this? Absolutely. This is what the halberd and the poleaxe are made for. You to just drive into flesh and bone, just sink in there. Like, this is what they're made to do, so I could totally buy that. For efficiency, it's good up until a point. I don't understand the drag. The drag is not necessary. And you might think, oh no, Raven, what he's doing is he's pulling him back so that he can more easily pull his axe out. No, he's not. Look, he's walking back too. If he were trying to pull him closer so that he could more easily pull his axe out, why did he walk back? Watch his legs. Watch Lawbringer's legs. He's walking back. There was no need for that. You've done your job. Just yank the thing out. So I gave it a 3 for efficiency. For cool factor, I gave it a 4. It's awesome. It's such a cool execution. While I don't understand the pullback, it's just so brutal. It's excellent. I love the way it's done. This feels solid, and I love the speed of it. He didn't waste time going, slow-mo strike. No, he just kicks down, bam, and then what? Boom, he's done. I love it. At that point, the man's dead. That's awesome. This is awesome. So that gives this one a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Next up is Chockhold. Oh, I know this one. All right. Well, for lethality, I'm going to give it a 3. And I'll tell you why. Breaking the neck is usually a good way to get the kill, but breaking the neck doesn't always get the kill. As many people can attest, you can break your neck and still live through it. So while I do think this will likely kill, I cannot say for certain that it will kill. So I gave it a 3 for lethality. For realism, I gave it a 4. You could do this. There's nothing wrong with doing this. I think that that's totally feasible. For efficiency, I gave it a 3. On the one hand, I like it because you're using his body as a shield. You basically got him in front of you, so if anyone tries to shoot an arrow, they're just going to hit their partner, so that's fine. But I also think he took a little too long when you didn't need to do that. All you had to do was block his punch, throw him back, and then impale him or something, like use your weapon. I want to say this for the record. I don't mind if a hero uses their bare hands to kill the enemy. Like, it's not a big deal if they do that. But in terms of you grading efficiency has to be taken into account in those regards, because you have a weapon. Why not use the weapon? You know, that's what I mean there. It's not a big deal. It's just something I wanted to point out. And then for cool factor, I gave it a 3. Maybe it's just because I'm not as big a fan of the... I don't know. Something's wrong with it. Maybe it's because of the way the neck breaks. I mean, look, it just looks like he pulled his head real hard to the side. It doesn't have an obvious break. Like, I kind of expected the head to jerk or something. Let me look at it from the other perspective. Maybe it'll look better from the other perspective. Let's try it that way. No, it's actually worse because I can't even see if the head jerks or not. I assume it does, but it's hard to say. So I gave it a 3 for cool factor, which gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. It's not bad, just not my favorite. Next up was Off With Their Head. Ooh, quote the Queen of Hearts. Now see, that's what I was talking about. One of those slow swing downs like this. Slow swing down. Like, I'm not as big into those, but I guess it's fine. All right. So head came off. That's a lethality of 4 out of 4. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. For realism, again, you could totally do this. This is a 4 for realism. This weapon was designed to take off head, so I have no problem with that. And also, you'll see what I'm talking about. He's bringing the axe head down. That's the use of momentum and gravity at work to take off that head. So I like that. For efficiency, I gave it a 3. It took a little too long to get him on the ground. He didn't have to hit him twice. I feel like if he just hit him really hard the first time. But okay, let's say that I excuse that. Okay, like, he's only doing it to get him on the ground, right? What was with that thing? Like, I don't know. You were able to swing it down pretty good earlier. I don't know. It's a little funky to me, so I gave it a 3 for that. But for cool factor, 4. It's so awesome. What I love about this is that Warden's still trying to fight, but it just, no, try again. No, you fool. I'ma take you. Boom. I love it. That is so awesome to me. So that gives this one a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Guys, we're just racking up those high scores. I love it. I love it. Next up is Knock Knock. Oh, God. Oh. All right. So for lethality, I'll give it a 1. I'm going to give that a 1. Look, okay, all right. I've been getting a lot of comments from people in my Warden execution video where they try to remind me, hey, in that execution when Warden is punching the guy in the face, don't forget, Warden's wearing armor. If you hit someone over in the face or in the head with metal, it's going to eventually kill. And you know what? I'll grant you that. I overlooked that. I didn't think about it. That was one of my first. It was my first executions graded video. I'm allowed to make a mistake, right? Okay, but now look at this. He's not hitting him over and over with it. He's conking him on the side of the head once and then just throwing him down. He's not even hitting him with the blade. He is conking him on the side of the head once. He's not repeating it. He's not even getting a whole lot of momentum. It's almost like he's clapping his hands. It's almost like he's just going, like, look at it again. Look at it again. Look at the way he hits him with it, okay? Watch. It's like clapping your hands. Clap. That's it. Like, that's it. That's all that kills him? Now, granted, if you hit the temple with enough force, you could kill. I don't think that's enough force. Guys, I've been hit in the head numerous times. I'm not going to say it feels great, but I survived. The worst thing that might happen here is he knocks him out. That's the worst thing that might happen here, and that's not a death blow. The only way this kills is if it hit him hard enough in the temple to kill him. And I don't think it did. I do not think it did. So that's my stance there. That's a 1 for lethality. For realism, it's a 4. You could do this. Yeah. You could hit someone in the side of the head with a pole arm. I don't know why you would. Feels more like it. You know what this feels more like? It feels more like Warden was Lawbringer's soldier and he was running away from the battlefield. He's going, yeah, I don't want to die, boss. I don't want to die. Come back here. You're going to go to bed until you learn to be a soldier. Now think about what you did. Sleep it off. That's what that looks like to me. It doesn't look like an execution. It does not look like an execution. Okay. Sorry, I got a little distracted. For efficiency, that's a 1. And not only did he not kill this guy, he grabbed him, pulled him back, spoke to him, conked him, and then threw him aside. I didn't like any of that. That was all bad. For cool factor, another 1. I do not like this. It doesn't look like an execution to me. I mean, again, someone's going to say, technically, if you hit them hard enough in that, yes, and that's the only reason it got a 1 lethality for me. That's the only reason it got a 1 in lethality, because there is a snowball's chance that might have happened. There is the slimmest sliver of a chance that this guy might have hit him in just the right way to knock him out. That's the only way this gets any points from me. So, okay, sorry, Lawbringer. That's a 7 out of 16, which is a 44%. Okay, pretty bad, but come on, it's got to be the last one. Like, you only had 2 bad ones so far. Let's keep going, Lawbringer. Next up is the Impaler. Ooh, I love this one. And it fits because I just did the Vlad the Impaler video. Again, check that out if you haven't yet. All right, so for lethality, this is a 4. You're plunging the halberd clean through the body, lifting them up. Gravity is dragging them down onto your weapon, causing even more internal damage. This man's dead. This man is done, so that's a 4. For realism, again, this is a 4. Now, here's the funny thing. The halberd, like I said, is a dense, heavy weapon, and you're lifting a dude off of his feet to do this impalement. You could do this. Now, it may be difficult. It would be a little difficult, but what I like here is Lawbringer once he's shoved into Warden, let's see if I can't get a better perspective. Let's see. Yes, there it is. Once he shoved into Warden, he immediately placed the tip of his halberd into the earth and started using it as leverage to help him lift up, which I definitely like. That is what I want to see. I like that a lot. Okay, so that's a 4 for realism. For efficiency, I gave it a 3. There's one major threat here, one major problem. Now, it worked out here, but there is a problem. The halberd is not a stake like what Vlad would impale on. This is a weapon where the tip is bladed, but you also have an axe on it. there is every possibility that your prey may get stuck on it. And if they get stuck, your weapon is compromised. Now, luckily that didn't happen here, but that is a real threat, so I did have to take off a point. Plus, with him impaled like that, in that brief period, you have no real means of defending yourself. Now, granted, Lawbringer is heavily armored, but I still wouldn't take that chance. So for that reason, I'm going to give it a 3 for efficiency. But for cool factor, 4 hands down. This is such a good impalement execution. The only one like it. I know we'll get to Valkyrie eventually with her impalement. It's just not nearly as good in my opinion. This one is way better. But still, awesome job. That gives this one a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Absolutely brutal. I love it. Next up is the long shot. Ba-dong. Okay, all right, I see that. Okay, let's see the distance again. Oh, wow, that went a good few meters. I want to say maybe 4 or 5 meters. Dang. Oh, okay. For lethality, I am pretty dang sure this would kill. Look at the Warden's head when he gets hit. That's what I'm talking about with a jerk. I'm pretty sure his neck broke from that strike. If it didn't, it's going to be very, very painful in the morning. But, unfortunately, I can't say with 100% certainty that would kill, because if you look at what he hits him with, he doesn't hit with the axe. He hits with the other end of the axe, the hammer end of the axe, the wrong end. So wouldn't it be funny if he decapitated there instead? I would have liked that, but because he just hits him, this would probably kill, but I can't say for sure. So I'm going to give it a 3 for lethality. I'm going to give it a 3 because I'm pretty sure that would kill, but I don't know for certain. For realism, that distance is a little questionable. So because of that, I'll give it a 3 for realism on distance. I'm not saying you could not hit someone like this, but sitting them that far, I don't know. That's a little questionable unless they're made of paperweights, you know? I just don't know about that. For efficiency, I'll give it a 4. This was very fast. This was very well done. He didn't sacrifice the momentum of his weapon. He maintains it at all times. He knocks the guy away from him. It's solid. I'll give it that. And I liked how he knocked him off balance before sending him. That adds a little bit more credence to knocking him off his feet, so I'll give it that. For cool factor, though, I'm going to have to give it a 3. It's not my favorite. I know a lot of people like it, and granted, I see the appeal, but for me, it's not as cool. You're basically using this thing as a glorified baseball bat, and while that's not a bad thing, you're using an axe. Yeah, use it like an axe, my friend. I just don't see this working out. Now, if you wanted to use it more like a hammer because you want to use the other end, not the axe end, that I don't have a problem with that, but I just didn't see it here. Anyway, that gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. Not bad at all, just, you know. Next up is the hands-on approach. Ooh. Now, that's a neck break execution. I'm going to give that a 4 for lethality, and I'll tell you exactly why. Notice how he's not only breaking his neck, he's choking him out. He is making sure, because he's got his thumbs pressed up against the esophagus. Look at where his thumbs are. His thumbs are right over the esophagus. This man cannot breathe, and his neck is being broken. If he does not die from the neck break, his throat will be crushed. This person is dead. For realism, though, that does take a bit of a hit. I'm gonna have to give that a 3 for one reason. He lifted him off his feet. Look at this. He raised him off of his feet. I don't know. Is Lawbringer really strong enough to do that? Is Lawbringer really gonna be able to do that? I mean, I know he's a pretty strong guy, but can you really lift a dude off of his feet and while holding him there break his neck? It seems a little iffy. Plus, the way he broke the neck is a little iffy as well. Usually when you break... maybe I shouldn't teach you guys how to break a neck. Okay, forget I said anything. For efficiency, I'm going to have to give it a 1 because he did the one thing that I don't like. He put down his weapon to do this. Look, again, I'll say I don't have anything against killing with your bare hands in this game. That's not a problem. But when you have a weapon, I prefer you use it. And if you absolutely don't want to use it, don't put it down. What happens if someone interrupts you? What happens if someone hurts you? You know, I don't like that. I won't give it a 0 because, again, this is pretty quick, and he's basically prevented this guy from being able to do anything to stop him, but I got to give it a 1. For cool factor, 4. It's awesome. This is one of the most dominating executions that Lawbringer has. It's terrifying to look at. It's absolutely powerful. I really like it. So yeah, no question. This is a great execution. I'm going to give this one an 11 out of 16, which is a 75%. It's really cool. I do like this execution, but I think it failed a little in the efficiency category for me. So that's why it gets the score it does. Next up is Backbreaker. Oof. Okay. You know what? I'm going to give credit. That would have been an easy one to just do a decapitation with, but they didn't. They put it into his back. So I'll give it that. And it's still a 4 out of 4 for lethality. You're putting it right into the spine, but not only that, even if it goes beyond the spine, you're hitting the lungs, you're hitting the heart. This person's dead. This person's done. So I definitely like that. For realism, 4. You could do this. You could 100% do this. I have no problem with it. For efficiency, I'll give it a 4 as well. Now, you might think, now, Raven, hold on, Raven. This moment where he taps his axe a few times. Now, here's the thing. While I agree that's a little odd, he had to get his axe back in position to be able to swing down. So he was just getting it back into that position. Plus, he brings it down pretty quick. Not like that slow thing he did earlier. This one, he hits, gets in position, and then strikes down. I don't have a problem with that. So I think that's fine. And I checked with Lark. He agreed. And I think that this is a pretty good, efficient execution. It was done fast. It was done well. He knocked him to the ground. It finished him off. I think that fits. And then for cool factor 4, of all the default executions that heroes got, because remember, this was one of Lawbringer's default executions, I think this one's one of the most solid. It looks awesome. It's dominating just like I'd expect Lawbringer to be. It's brutal. I think it's just phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal execution, which gives him another 16 out of 16, which is a 100%. Fantastic. Next up is Sweep the Leg. Oof. Okay. So for Sweep the Leg, gonna give that a 4 out of 4 for lethality. We are plunging the poleaxe straight into the gut and upward. Notice that it's going upward. It's not just going straight down. It's going upward. So it's going through the intestines, up into the center cavity, up into where the lungs and heart and stomach are. This person's dead. This person is most definitely dead. Not only would sepsis kill them, bleed out's going to happen. You're puncturing important organs. This man's a goner. For realism, 4. Actually, I would totally believe this. This looks like something you'd actually see in an actual historical battle, like a straight up execution you'd see on the battlefield. So that's definitely a 4 for realism and a 4 for efficiency. Look at how fast this was done, how effectively this was done. It is phenomenal. I have no issues with this execution in that regard. But for cool factor, I will give it a 3. Only because it just doesn't wow me that much. I mean, it's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. I love it. It's a good execution. It just doesn't wow me as much as the others. I know that's a little personal, but still, I mean, he comes away with it with a 15 out of 16, which is a 94%. Just 1 point away from perfect, you know? I still really, really like it. It just didn't wow me as much as the others. So yeah, but still, awesome execution. Awesome execution. You've done really well today, Lawbringer. I'm actually really impressed. I can't wait to see what you wrap up with. And last but not least, oh, come on. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe I'm saying this, but for the first time in For Honor Executions Graded, we got an execution that is not actually an execution. And this may be the first time that I give a hero a 0 in every category. For lethality, this is a 0. You did nothing. The Lawbringer did nothing. He draws back his axe. Guy drops dead. For realism, no, people don't just drop dead. That does not happen. Yes, I know, bro, but all the stuff they did during the battle. I haven't counted that before. I'm not starting now. I expected Lawbringer here to do something, to kill him some way. I don't count the prior battle. I don't count what happened before. I never have. I'm not doing it here. For efficiency, how can he be efficient? He did not do anything. And then for cool factor, I know people think this is the funniest execution. Oh, it's so funny. I didn't laugh. I think this is lame. I think this is a terrible... I can't even call it an execution because it's not an execution. He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. The only thing I could possibly give is this part, where he pokes him. I guess you could maybe vaguely argue that should get a point of efficiency since he checked to see if the guy was dead. But no, I think this is terrible. And I know, it's the comedy factor, Raven. It's meant to be funny. I really don't care. It's not funny to me. I do not think it's funny. I think it's a cop-out. Think about this for a second. Think about this. Back in the day, when this execution would have come out, they were releasing one execution per hero once, like every half season or once a season, right? This is the one Lawbringer's going to get, right? Everyone else is getting their executions. This is one Lawbringer gets. I felt cheated. I was like, oh, all these other executions came out, all these other really cool executions. Then this comes out. I'm like, really? Really? Like, oh, guys, think about it like this. Do you remember when the Tempest season was going on and that big storm season was coming on? And for the first time in what felt like a long time, we finally got new unique executions for every hero. Remember? That was when Lawbringer got that really good one from earlier. Like, remember? That they had some really kick-ass executions. Imagine if this was the execution that came out then. Imagine that instead of Lawbringer's really awesome execution, what came out with that? Like, I'm trying to remember what came out with that. Let me see. It was Tene Cursum. Tene Cursum was the one that came out. It was that new one that he got. He got a new execution in Tene Cursum. It was awesome. It was an incredibly good execution. Imagine if this came out instead of Tene Cursum. Imagine if this was his brand new execution. And now we have to wait forever to get a new execution for Lawbringer because this was the last one that came out. Would you not feel a little disappointed? Would you not feel like, okay, haha, funny, but really, that's all we got? We waited this long for a new Lawbringer execution, and this is what we got. So I know I'm going to get some hate for this. I know people are going to really be mad at me and disagree with me for this, but how can I get... It is like if a student walked into my classroom and said, all right, guys, turn in your projects, and he walked up to me and he handed me a blank piece of paper, and I said, where's the project? Oh, that's the project. There's nothing on there. I know, isn't it funny? But you didn't do anything. I know, that's the joke. Oh, I get it. Here, let me put something on it. 0. And that's what I give this, a 0. I cannot give a person a good score or any score when they turned in a blank paper and expected me to laugh because it's a funny joke. And before you say, wow, Raven, that's really biased, I talked about it with Lark as well. He agrees with me. This execution is not worth the funny factor. The Horserider execution was funnier than this, and at least he killed with it. This one, he did nothing. So sorry, guys. I know I've ranted on it enough, but this killed it for me. Right, you know what, Lawbringer? You had some of the best executions in the game. You were up there. You had an amazing score going, and then you killed it. You ruined it last minute. You gave possibly the worst execution I've ever seen in this game because you didn't even give an execution. How is it that this hero can both give the best and the worst at the same time? It's baffling. So sorry, Lawbringer. A 0%. All right, guys. After that very sad ending, we're done. We have gone through all the executions that Lawbringer has. We've graded all of them, and after calculating the average, Lawbringer gets, are y'all ready? Y'all ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for it. You ready? An 80%. And you know what the saddest part about it is, guys? It would have been higher had we not had Oh Come On. That last execution bombed him. I have a feeling he would have done even better without that. And I know I'm about to get hate. I'm about to get people unsubscribing because of this, but I stand by it. I do not like that execution. But putting that aside, what about the rest of them? Most of these were phenomenal. He turned in hitter after hitter after hitter. He is such a beast of a warrior. He performed amazingly in lethality, amazingly in realism. A few questionable efficiencies, but for the most part pretty good, and a lot of cool factors. Lawbringer is one of my favorite heroes, and he's a fan favorite too. Most everyone is super in love with this guy, and people are so interested in his rework. Some are super excited, some are super scared, but whatever the case, Lawbringer is a large part of the game for a lot of people, and same for me. I love this character. So I was very excited to do this Executions Graded. And I'll be honest, I actually forgot about Oh Come On until I started. Then when I saw it, I went, ah! Oh, this was a hard one to look at. I loved this one. I loved doing it. I worked very hard to talk to other people and figure out where I wanted to go with this. and I feel like we came out all right. But what do you guys think? Do you think that these are fair executions graded scores for Lawbringer? Do you think that he got the score he deserves? Do you think that I'm wrong and that I shouldn't have given him this score? Please be respectful in the comment sections, because I know it's going to get ugly. I'm very much aware, but I stand by my score. Would love to hear y'all's thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to support the channel. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video. Take care.